Hey you guys, how are you all? In this video I want to talk about creativity. I have been saying in several videos for a while that we are moving into a time, and we really are in it now, where the creations are starting to take form in the physical. Now, for that to happen on a collective level, we need individually to get really in contact with our creative energy, with our Kundalini, with our life force energy, with our sexual energy, because that is the energy that is moving into the creations. So what I want to do in this video is that I want to give you three main points or important ways to start looking at where you might be holding yourself back. How do we move towards nurturing our own creative energy? How do we move towards freeing up what is holding us back from actually expressing and letting that life force energy, that Kundalini energy, move freely in the body? Now, using Kundalini, creative energy, life force energy, sexual energy, a bit back and forth, because it's really about the same essence of that energy moving in the body. When it comes to the Kundalini, you don't need any specific Kundalini experiences in order to awaken. For some people that's a part of their path, and for some it's not. But it's really the same energy that is moving. For me personally, that has been a part of my life and my path, because I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening when I was a toddler. That energy obviously got blocked afterwards, and so my personal experience has also been a lot around what I needed to do in order to free that up, which had a lot to do with expressing. Because it's really on a collective level now, it's really that inner fire. We are holding so much more of the energy that we are, that light coming into the body. It starts moving, we hold much more of that energy, and that inner fire that gets lit up needs to express. And between the fire that we can feel inside of us and that expression, we can stop ourselves in so many ways. And we are at a point now where we can't really avoid dealing with it, beat around the bush, or be passive about it. We need to actively move towards the expression. And so we need to really face what is holding us back from that expression. So be really honest with yourself. Why are you holding yourself back? For many, I will say that creative energy, that sexual energy, that Kundalini, the life force, is really powerful. Very, very powerful. So are you afraid of it? Do you know it? Have you really met that energy in yourself? Because that's very powerful. If you dare to start experimenting, start meeting that, start feeling that energy that is moving inside of you, the life force energy will move when you want to be here, when you have something to wake up for. That energy will want to move. And meet it. Start wanting or going towards getting to know it. I can see my light is really unstable. I have no idea why. I hope it doesn't disturb you guys too much. It's also about empowerment. It's about joy, and it's about life force. When we are empowered, so moving towards empowerment and meeting this nurturing, meeting the facing of whatever is holding us back in an empowered state, rather than in a victim state or victimizing ourselves because of whatever has made us come to the point of holding back, is very important. So remember empowerment, joy, life force. These three are really, really closely connected. So the intention we want to have is to have that free creative energy, to have that Kundalini moving freely in the body. And as this is the same as the sexual energy, it doesn't have to do with that physical intimacy, but it's the same energy that is moving in creation. It's the same energy that is the life force energy. So if we make a parallel to a situation of physical intimacy, that is a good way to start relating or working with our own creative energy. So the first point I want to make is feeling safe. In that kind of a situation, we need to feel safe. Do you create a space for yourself, an environment for yourself, for your creativity to create? For example, we can be very insecure about something. It can be really scary. Like, for example, when I started doing these videos, I had a big battle with myself for a long time because I was super afraid of it. How do you meet yourself in a situation if you have an insecurity? Because that makes you feel not safe. Being insecure is okay. So we don't want to judge it as something good or bad. It's okay, and don't bulldoze it, but don't be passive about it. Actively meet that insecurity. How can you be more of a firm, loving parent to yourself when you feel insecure? So we want to understand what's going on. We want to not bulldoze and push it, because that does not make us feel safe. But neither do we want to hide. We want to take maybe baby steps in the direction of moving through our fears. Now I can also make an example that I'm remembering right now as I'm talking. They're showing it to me. One of my big fears throughout my journey has been being weird, being open, seeing the things I'm seeing, and what other people will think of me. And so I remember at one point I wrote a little piece on fear, and I went straight into the fear I have had of showing the world all of who I am, not only certain parts that are easily acceptable. And I was really fearful of posting this because it showed what I was most insecure about, maybe most fearful about when it came to myself. And after I posted that, my Kundalini started moving a lot. It was like for 3 days, it was just like bumping in my crown constantly. And so it shows that when we are actually taking steps with love for ourselves, for those fears, for those insecurities, and we're moving through them, it allows for the energy to start moving. It's because we take those constrictions away. So we need to be really clear and really go straight for that. And when it comes to the empowerment as well, if we shame ourselves, that energy will just go back hide. If we're being really hard on ourselves, we're criticizing, shaming, we are really, really not working with that energy in a nurturing way. And look also at how you meet the insecurity. Is it with the pitying, with victimization, or is it with empowerment? You can spot that insecurity, you can feel it. It doesn't feel comfortable, but we want to move through it. And so if you can be with it, you can sit with it, and you can lovingly move through it, that creates safety, that creates a trust in yourself, which is the first point for that energy to actually start to move. Now the second point is respect. If we want that energy to move freely, and again with a parallel to a physical situation, it is very important to have respect for yourself. Do you have respect for yourself, and do you have respect for your creations and your expressions? Again, it has a lot to do with that shaming that I mentioned in the last point. But how we treat ourselves and how we meet that is very important, because it's about, of course, the worthiness within ourselves, but also the value and the worth we give to our creations. If we don't really own it, and we don't respect it and treat it as a powerful force, which the life force really is, it won't move freely either. And we want that energy now to really fire off. We want that energy to come into the world. We want that energy to start coming out. So do you judge your creations as either good or bad? Or do you compare it to others? Is it better than or worse than? I think taking out those things, so that we don't always put it in comparison, we don't have that mindset or constriction, that limiting belief, oh no, this is not good enough, this should be better, I will never make that good enough, because then we don't start moving it. It has to do with the judgments and the beliefs of ourselves. And most of those, if not all those beliefs that we have of ourselves, are not ours. It's something we just adopted from a situation, a trauma, something someone said, something we were made to feel that maybe wasn't even what someone meant or the situation was to create, but it is something that can come from a big trauma or just a small comment sometime that you experienced. And that really constricts that energetic flow. So how can you remind yourself when you meet those beliefs that these are not really mine, this is not truth, this is an illusion, this is something, just a belief that I adopted because I thought that my experience at the time meant this thing, and it's not actually true. That is treating yourself with respect and that life force energy. And another point which is really important there is to do this while you're creating. So don't stop your creations because, oh, I just have to fix all those beliefs first. I just have to become good enough, because then we're only perpetuating that same belief. Don't postpone your creations, because procrastination is really about fear. It's the same frequency. If we procrastinate with something, we're holding ourselves back from something, we are in fear. So don't make this point of weeding out those limiting beliefs and those judgments of yourself as a reason or an excuse not to create, because that is only an excuse for the deeper fears. So we want to meet those and we want to move through them while we're creating. Because while we're actually creating, while we are working on expressing ourselves and letting this energy move freely, then we will meet all these limiting beliefs, and we can take it one after the other as we meet them while we're moving. The last point, the third point I want to make, is the relationship with your own body and your creations. So look at how you relate to your body. This is a very important part of physical intimacy, and it's a very important part of how you relate to your creations. It's the same energy moving, it's the same energy that wants to be free, that wants to express, that wants to move, and it's a very powerful energy. So how do you relate to it? That also comes back to the judgments and beliefs about yourself. And when you hear this, if you go into, oh, but I don't have a good relationship with my body, so then, I'm screwed basically, or, anything like that that you tell yourself, that is the victimization. That is letting the fear run the show. Turn it around and rather say to yourself that, oh my goodness, I just became even more aware of how important this is. And now I have something specific that I can start turning around. Something that I can actually move towards, and remembering that I'm actually going now to actively move through that, holding myself with love like a firm, loving parent. I'm not going to bulldoze myself, and I'm not going to sit back passively and constrict my life force. I actually am going to move through this because I have something specific to move through. And that allows the energy to start moving, because that's nurturing, that's loving, that's respect. You respect the fear that inner child may be having, that you hold. You respect the creation in and of itself. You meet it with love, but you don't hold it back because of the fear. You do actively meet it and move through it. And one example that many people are moving through now is, for example, that you want to change your work because the creative energy is starting moving more. You have these ideas, you want to maybe shift something you're working about, you want to make something you have been doing just part-time to a full-time job. And it's difficult because we're meeting the 3D world, all expectations. We have to pay the bills and we have to deal with these things. It can both feel safe to gradually start shifting, because that makes your whole system feel that, okay, I do have this other job that still gives me the money to pay the bills, and this gives me safety and security, because that was the first point, remember, so that my creative energy can start moving. For some people, in some situations, that can be just hiding or holding back because of fear, that we just make that as an excuse. It can be that you are in a situation where you really just need to make that jump. So this is very individual. One thing can create security for one person, and the complete opposite is what another person needs. And there you need to really meet yourself and trust yourself. What is your intuition, and how to really move through any shift like that, and what is holding yourself back. So as you're working with this energy, as you are focusing on really having the attention of the life force, of the creative energy to start moving in your body, and to move into expression from that inner fire to that expression. Remember to feel safe. Create that safe space for your creations. Trust yourself. Second, respect. meet yourself with respect and meet your creations with respect. And the third one, what is your relationship to your own body and to your creations? Because here you will find a lot of those beliefs that are holding you back. Because what you believe of yourself, you have a big chance of also believing of your creations. And therefore, maybe you will not create what you really, excuse me, really actually want to create. So bring those three with you. I would love to hear your sharings, if you want to share what you're creating, what's holding you back maybe, if you had any new realizations listening to this. I really enjoy reading all of your comments, and I thank you all who are commenting, who are liking, sharing and subscribing. It really helps the messages to come out. Hope you will have a beautiful day, and I hope this was helpful for you. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.